the only one who's like Cramp.
Recording started. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Come on, let's be professional.
Ha!
Just
Yeah,
farting? No way.
yeah.
Sorry.
Let's be professional. All right. So when we last left off,
Rob was sitting
Rob-
down in a little staircase with Artemis.
Anyway,
to quickly recap what happened. Basically, you guys landed in Arngale. Rob went off to make some money, found a noble woman to do a sketch portrait of, and the other three went off to investigate. Ran into a police officer who bought them with their chocobo, and he's like, "You got a license for that?" And they're like, He's like, "All right, you're coming in with us." They went in. Myth revealed that she was part of the clergy of Mist,
you know,
and
oh wait, did I?
yes,
Yes.
said that you were there to inspect the crystal, and that was like a big ol' like red flag. They're like, "Oh shit, all right, well, chief is gonna want to talk to you." He sat down with the chief. He tried to do the big ol' reveal thing, like, we're all like, against religion or something. And you're like, no, we totally agree. Gods suck. And the guy's like, wait, yeah, gods suck. However, he totally didn't really buy that you guys had the best intentions. Thought that, you just being there was gonna kind of screw things up. So he went and said, yeah, these guys, make sure that
Take him out.
Take them out. Some
Throw him off
guardsmen-
the edge.
Yeah, some flippin' jabronis approach you guys outside the door. Is like, you're coming with us, and you're like, no, though. And so they're like, oh, and then you guys ran and busted out of the police station.
Oops.
Artemis reunited with her chocobo. She tried to make a bid for it on the back of the chocobo, but chocobos used to run through big open plains and stuff, not cramped city streets necessarily. It tried to adjust as it could, but with all the sharp turns, Artemis eventually got thrown off. There she had to scramble for safety and hide while the chocobo got stuck on a roof. Ra's bird is now on a roof. Mother effing Arding.
Meanwhile,
Using Ramu as a battery.
Yep.
Let's not forget about that detail.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
that's a little-
Ricardo got out of Dodge because they were on his trail, and Ra gave him an out.
Yep.
yeah.
And yeah, let's so while
And meanwhile, Myth and TP found something.
right. So going back to Ra was painting a portrait, or sketching a portrait rather. And well, the noble person he was sketching a portrait for sort of had a little bit of a morality crisis at the moment. She's like, yeah, gonna cover for this stranger. I'm sure everything's fine. And the guard's like, okay, moving along. After that, Ra's like, all right, what the and so he goes rushing up to meet Artemis, who is kind of just cramped in an alleyway, avoiding the fuzz. He walks up to her and he's like, what the and meanwhile, a escaping teepee and Myth make their way to basically the Adventurers Guild, called the Overlook or the Overhang or something. There they sit down among the crowd, and nobody's really picked them out. They're relatively new faces, and the only people that are really gonna know them are guard. That's when some young adolescent kid started to try to finagle with Myth's pockets, but she's got freaky sixth spider sense, so she's like, no. And So the kid's like, oh crap, think fast. You drop this. Gives her a little note, which a map to a little hideout. Might be safety, might be a trap, but probably it's probably a better chance to take than to try and like walk up to the guards and try and explain things.
Yeah.
Either way, TP prays for something to happen.
And I'm gonna quick BRB. Let's start with TP and Myth because that's where we left off. Discuss among yourselves. Roleplay. Do it up. See the drama.
Gotcha. Baby? Do you recognize this symbol at all?
Which symbol, Koopa?
And I point to the, and I point. There's a little symbol on the notes, the card. I think it was to the upper left, right corner that was like a six teeth cogwheel with a lightning bolt symbol running through it.
I'll have to roll history probably, and Robert ran away, so.
Oh well. All right. Okay, let's skip over that for now, and then
We can come back to that
pretend
one.
you did it. Yeah. Do you think it might be safe to follow wherever this map is leading to?
Well, I mean, it could hurt, in all fairness, could be a trap. But at the same time,
What do
I
we have to
asked
lose?
for an out, and then that guy came, Koopa.
What do we have to lose, indeed?
I'd say our dignity, but I lost that when I joined up with Ra and Artemis.
Oh. Speaking of which, how did you meet them exactly? I've only known that they met with you when they were up in Mist. And why were you there?
Well, I was there. Well, to be honest, I was there looking out for them for Nunnally. She had sent word, and well, I owed her a few favors. Same sect and all, right? So I was waiting for them. I told them that something had happened with Mist, and a friend of mine's students needed some healing, Koopa. Well, I was right. I didn't lie. I'm just saying I didn't lie. So I was kind of waiting for them.
Back?
I am back. So,
Welcome back.
Yep.
All right. First of all, can QTP make a history check on the cogwheel wheel symbol?
Of
the
course. Roll me that history
Very well,
check.
Koopa.
Actually, let's see if I'm in reg. Okay, good. It looks official.
Well, it's official. Doesn't quite ring any bells, though, Koopa. I could, ask. He taps the Kupo deck.
As the Kupo deck's out?
Yeah, you might have an article on that maybe.
I might have an article somewhere. Let's see. Where
You
was
wish.
it?
I won't stop you if you would.
Seals, writing, official, yeah.
I have to go on Google Docs. No.
You might find a registry on it somewhere in the libraries. Somewhere.
Probably information in the libraries, but nothing here, Koopa.
That said, the records are at the big office. You know, typically the place where you guys were set up to go, but you know,
Whoops.
Uh,
And unless we could get him there, probably not finding anything out about that, Koopa.
If nothing else, we can attempt to see if negotiations would be better with these folk than the people we just, well, run away from. Why is it that wherever we go, we never seem to befriend the local authorities?
I'm just gonna say Artemis and Ra are cursed, Koopa.
Fuck the police.
so with that in mind, are you guys gonna set off and follow the map, or are you gonna set off and try and find more info about the symbol?
I say we go for the map first.
Yeah, same here. I mean, if we find whoever they are, the very least we can do is ask like what the symbol means, or something.
All right.
Tied to old Ardengale. Tied to old Ardengale, related to it somehow. Question mark. Okay. So I guess with that
So how do you guys want to go about this?
yeah. Should we pay the bartender to keep quiet about us, or I'm not really sure how this works.
I mean, they don't really know us. We're kind of blending in. Right now, I think the best thing to do is to just go there. I'm kind of out of the druid juice, though, so no flitting about, Koopa.
Alright, then pretend everything. I suppose we can only pretend everything is normal.
Pretend everything's normal. If you got a hood, put it up. We'll see what we can do, Koopa.
And okay, so I assume that both of us walk out like we're normal people who haven't just committed a crime and are hiding from the police.
Okay, give me a deception, you two, as you prepare to leave.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm really good at that.
So
I'm not.
both of you try to kind of act natural and cool.
Natural enough.
You try to not
Relatively low for it, but I'll take it.
try to look like we're just a couple of people. You don't have a chocobo with you, so that makes this a bit easier. You look around and you see the guard patrols. They seem a bit more active now because there's people that just busted out of the police station. They are fucking looking for these.
Do we hear a bark from Quetzal as he kicks another ladder off the roof?
You guys are not really anywhere near there, so no.
Okay.
But the guys are kind of. That is one point though. Teepee is a Moogle and Myth is a Mejadi. So, do you guys want to travel together, or how do you want to go about?
Are they racist as well?
No, but that is a pair that they are looking for.
Yeah, not to mention, like, it's already weird to see either one of us, like.
In a mostly human city, yeah.
How's your memory for mops, UTV?
Mom? Aren't those the things you cleaned the...
Maps.
Oh,
Maps.
so. I can read it well enough, Koopa.
Can I get perception check for both?
Check. Can I use passive?
Yeah, what's your passive? What's your passive again? I honestly forget.
Oh, 22.
22.
Holy shit! What?
Yeah,
We talked about this last time.
I know. It was like really high, and that's how she just freaking caught someone trying to
It's still crazy, okay?
Fair enough.
reverse pocket her. All right, so with a 22 passive, you find a little bit of a underhang that you guys can dip into or tuck around. Which would probably be the wisest course of action instead of being openly in the streets together.
Mm.
Because Moogle and Mejadi definitely high profile, right?
Makes sense. Oh.
So you slip in there. You guys can roll stealth if you want to make extra sure that nobody knows you.
Right then.
I'll give it a shot.
With the hood up, I imagine I'd more easily pass off as human, just very tall human.
Head back at your horns.
I'd imagine like they're at most it would probably be about an inch above my head, maybe. I haven't actually like thought about that.
Mejadi horns tend to radically vary from Mejadi to Mejadi, and it's not really a rhyme or reason. Genetics might have something to do with it, but sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, but they don't typically get bigger than... Go.
They get bigger than.
They don't typically get bigger than...
Cut off at the end there again.
Huh?
Or is it... you kind of cut off at...
1 second. Let me adjust something real quick. How's this?
Okie dokie, no cutting off.
Alright, I just basically fixed my microphone sensitivity, so maybe I'll come through clear. But yeah, they don't typically get bigger than ram's horns.
Makes sense.
Anyway, to move on, you guys tuck into an alleyway. A couple of officers walk past you on patrol. They seem high alert. They don't notice you because you're sticking to the shadows.
Makes sense.
And
And I still... Actually, how long is Pass Without Trace? Would I still have that up?
how long has it been since you left the police station?
Pass Without Trace is concentration up to an hour or so. I'd imagine it can't be have been more than like 10 to 15 minutes, maybe. Maybe
well,
like 20 to...
Well, you made your way there, which took all of about, I would say, roughly 5 minutes, and then you sat down for a spell. I would say that was 10 minutes. So, I'm gonna say 20 minutes have passed.
All right. So 40 minutes on the Pass Without Trace timer.
So you have 40 minutes left of Pass Without Trace. Definitely is going a long way to keeping you guys looking as normal as you can, even with the guards on high alert. So it happens that when you tuck into this alleyway, do you have the map out?
Yeah. I probably hold it up so both of us can see it when we tuck into the alleyway.
It seems like this alleyway is part of the route.
Oh, how coincidental.
Quite coincidental.
TP looks up again.
It seems like this map networks a lot of the more easily obscured passages, so that you can avoid the open streets,
Which makes
and thus
sense.
mitigate the attention drawn to yourself. So, how fast do you want to navigate this map by?
Hmm. I'd say at a slow to normal pace. We could probably like during more like safe areas, we could probably navigate at a quicker speed than when we're pretty sure we're going to get we might get captured, if that makes sense.
So, moderate?
Moderate, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. You both have, well, TPS at least has a 26 to stealth.
Alright, I'll go roll 2 since we're doing this. 18.
Yeah, no. Oof. You guys begin to make your way there and don't really encounter any problems on the way. Cutting to Artemis and Ra. You guys are still tucked down in the alleyway. There is a chocobo nearby on the roof. Guards are having problems with it. You're kind of down in a stairwell that leads to like a cellar. And you're
So last I remember, they chilled there for another half hour so that Ra could get his wits about him, and
Mhm.
Artemis could regain her spell slots.
right.
So after the rest, or I suppose as it's closing, Ra's sort of sitting cross-legged. He's drawn little squares in the dirt to keep himself occupied. And as soon as his internal clock says it's time to look up, he looks up at Artemis with a very dead look in his eyes, and he says, "So I've got a very loose plan that I've been mulling over, and it does necessitate that you stay down here or hidden while I carry it out. I am going to try and get Quetzal. Do you have any objections?"
How exactly are you planning to get him down from up there?
Well, the way I see it is he's obviously going to react when he sees me. I'm going to try and convince the crowd, including everyone currently trying to deal with the Quetzal problem, of him being up on an awning, just to remind you, that it's not because he knows me, but because I have a past in training chocobos. This would give me at least a little bit of leeway in trying to get a little, our little bird friend down, and I won't get that many strange looks if I ride him off. Not to mention, seeing as how the problems you, Myth, and TP got into didn't directly involve me, I think that when I was accosted by the police here, I got them relatively convinced that I'm not wanted. If I can maintain that distance from you three, that serves to our best interests, especially with Ricardo being gone. As much as I hate to say it, it seems more and more likely that we aren't going to be able to safely leave Ardengale until we can fix things here. He takes a big sigh of resignation. I don't know where they are right now. I can figure it out as soon as we need to know, but right now we need to get you up and out of this stairwell. We need to get Quetzal off of that building, and we need to regroup and figure out what exactly there is to be done with Ramu powering this place.
Yes. That's actually a surprisingly well thought out plan. Well done.
If he hadn't already emptied all his tears, he would a single one would have etched its way down his cheek.
Or you could get the bird down and it could make us all invisible.
That's a great plan. I like that. So, my show from here on out, and then as soon as we get Quetzal, got it. Where am I taking him? Where will you be?
Just lure him back round here, and then I'll make us all invisible, and we can be on our merry way.
Ra rubs his hands together and he says, "Probably gonna fuck this up, but all right, back on our feet."
The worst that could happen now.
Ra comes back up the staircase and moves around to the other side of the building, where he's going to come up upon the scene. What's going on with Quetzal right now?
Real quick, you don't happen to have a disguise kit, do you? Or anything like that?
Yeah, he does have that on him, doesn't he?
Does he?
I'm checking.
I remember you used the disguise kit in Mist, so...
I think I did, but I don't know what happened to it. It's not on my character sheet.
Oh, weird.
I'm
Well-
pretty sure, I'm
Wait, check
pretty
your
sure
character
arm is just like all itself the entire time she was there.
I think I do remember using it on Maruna or something. Why do you ask?
No, I just wanted to see if there's any way you wanted to sort of spiff yourself up and look more official.
I mean, I'm wearing Shadowhunter garb.
True enough.
I had shadows and birds. But only those two things.
So Rock comes into the street. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
So what's
And
going
a
on?
chocobo ring.
What's going on with Quetzal right now?
Right, so, Quetzal is still kind of freaking out on the roof. The guards have kind of since given up trying to climb up there and see about getting it down. They're kind of like conversing among themselves.
Does it look like any one of them is particularly in charge? And no, I gave the greens to you, Myth.
Hey, I thought you gave him to QTP.
One of you. Give them to one of you.
QTP. They're gone now. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
what, Robert?
Right, so... You look around the guardsmen, the city police. They all have a pretty standard spiffy outfit. One of them is wearing a cap, though, has a mustache. Might be like a captain or something.
Alright. I'm gonna approach him, holding my shoulders a little, just tints further back than usual. Excuse me, I think I might be able to assist with this, he looks up at Quetzal, situation here.
Quetzal notices you, flaps his wings happily, lets out a very, very cheerful, chocobo cry. It kind of circles around on the awning, looks around, but it seems contemplative. It hasn't like jumped yet, but seems like it's thinking about an opportunity to do so. But continue.
What's the guy's reaction?
Right. He turns his shoulder and looks over it, and then he turns to look at you, and looks you up and down. He's like, didn't know shadow hunters were in the business of wrangling chocobos.
Well, especially down in some certain parts, you can't really get across the flat expanses fast enough to chase the quarry without, well, he looks up at Quetzal, their help. And they're fearsome in their own right. Sometimes they even have a helping hand in fighting the things.
That's so. Well, I trust you be the expert on such matters. He looks back up at that thing. Well, all that matters is that we get this thing down. It was with a couple others. Moogle and Massidian and a lady with a really big hat.
Ra frowns. Sounds like a cantankerous bunch.
Six Emperor.
Well, it's certainly been up there for a while for me to hear about it, all the way over on the other side of town as I was. But hopefully I can do something. So with the way it's looking right now, which is actually pretty dangerous, if you could and he tries to direct, or at least help direct, the policemen to sort of spread in a way that doesn't create any openings for Quetzal to jump down.
The captain looks at you and then he looks at his men. He's like, he motions for them to form up.
Great.
And they do so.
Alright, now I'm gonna go up there, and when I say so, I need you to form a big circular clearing that'll, well, it'll essentially be an on-ramp that the Chocobo can safely jump down to. I've dealt with Chocobos on ledges before plenty of times, they just jump.
Right then, you heard the Shadow Hunter.
And Ra is going to clamber up onto the awning using the ladder they were trying to get it down with. He's going to climb, not onto the same one Quetzal's on, but... Excuse me. Oh man, alright, sneeze didn't come. He climbs onto a different awning, and then he moves over to the one Quetzal's on, and he tries to get up on Quetzal's back.
Alright, so you hop from one awning to the other. As you do, Quetzal's getting he's getting more and more excited and agitated. He's kind of like prancing about in place. But as you approach, you're able to actually, yeah, give me a, he's kind of freaking out a little. Give me a animal handling check. Just a real quick one. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you managed to get Quetzal to calm down a bit, that you can easily get up on his back with no trouble.
And then Ra looks down and he calls, "Alright, clearing should be good now."
Captain, he nods to the rest. They quickly move into formation on his command.
And Ra's gonna try and spur Quetzal into the clearing.
Quetzal easily does so. Couldn't be any happier. He hops up, flutters his wings to slow the descent as much as he can. Yellow feathers scatter about everywhere as he does, and just with a foom, lands. And as soon as he does, the guards start to move in. He's like, "Right, well, we'll take it from here. Thank you."
Ra gets down off of Quetzal and says, "You said that this bird was with lot of people. I think one was a Massidian, etc."
Moogle and a human with a big hat. We're still looking for them. They seem to have fled the scene, left this bird behind. Probably as a distraction. We still don't really know what to do with it. We might even have to put it down, because really.
Well, do you have a stable of some sort? Probably not up here.
This city? The captain looks around. It's not really the sort of place for chocobos, you know.
Ron nods sympathetically. Yeah, I can see that. Well, how about this? Are there any outbound ships? I was probably going to be looking for a means to leave somewhat recently anyways, and if I can just help this guy along the way, it also puts your quarry out of another possible distraction, right? If they got their hands on it again. Besides, look
Yeah.
at him.
Besides, look what?
Besides, look at him. And Rob pets Quetzal's beak a couple times.
The captain starts to kind of twitch his mustache. I need a persuasion roll.
Go, Ra!
Fuck.
He looks at the bird and he looks at you and he's like, no, I really shouldn't. That bird's evidence, like it or not. I don't really... Doesn't sit well with me personally, but, you know, I have my job and it's my neck on the line.
That's understandable. Where's the station at? Maybe after this is all sorted out, I can come figure out a way to get the bird back on the ground.
He looks down the street in the direction that the chocobo just tore right through, leaving devastation in his wake. He's like, well, you could just follow the trail. But I'll send a couple of guys along to escort you.
Great. I usually hang around over at the Overlook.
And a couple of guys approach and they nod to you. Seems like their intent is to escort you.
Escort me where? I thought they were gonna do it after...
To the police station.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thought they were gonna be... Ra actually speaks up, he says, oh, it's happening now.
Well, yeah, bird's evidence. We can't just let wander free.
I'm sorry, I thought that I was going to be escorted there to see to the bird's safety after it was done as evidence, after you got the 3 people under lock and key.
Well, if you want to go your own way, I guess I'll just, you know, bid you good day. Thank you for your assistance, Shadow Hunter.
What's your name? Just so I can give accolades to those proper.
He takes his hat off, puts it over his chest, kind of stands on ceremony a little.
Striking
Officer-
me as a Gustav. Oh, sorry.
No. No, shut up.
Sorry.
Don't make me feel bad for saying shut up. Officer Behrens.
Well, Officer Bearings, he looks at Quetzal. Thank you for, at the very least, looking out for the wildlife. And he is going to touch Quetzal and cast a Death Ward.
Does he have Death Ward?
He sure does.
Okay. So,
Clerics.
that's a verbal and a semantic.
It sure is.
How do you want to be subtle about it, or are you
Nope,
just gonna...
I'm doing it brazen out in the open.
What are you going to say?
I just do it. If they ask any questions, I'll answer them.
Officer Bearings, he kind of quirks his brow at that, but he doesn't question it.
Figured you were an animal lover.
And I give a brief salute to him and start walking back around the building that I juked from.
Quetzal is looking between the guards and looking at you and looking between the guards. The poor thing is incredibly confused and feels just a touch betrayed. But they managed to goad it along nice and quietly. But you return to the alleyway.
Alright, so I go and I get Artemis and I say, well, Quetzal's being kept for evidence, but he will be safe.
Can't help but, yeah, I was about to say, can't help but notice you didn't bring the bird back.
Ra, his face kind of tightens up, and one of his hands goes up and presses against his eyes. It was hard.
Oh.
It's alright. We'll get him out of this.
Emotional support chocobo was a more correct statement than we all anticipated.
So, let's meet back up with
Sorry.
Myth and Teepee. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing here, and I will be trying to convince myself not to kill every goddamn cop in this city. You can cast invisibility on yourself.
You really want your bird back that badly?
Artemis. I'm sorry that you only seem capable of having an emotional attachment to clothing of a certain color, but other people aren't sociopaths. Either way,
That was an actual question, not a degrading statement. Do you want your bird back that bad?
if at all possible, yes.
I'm gonna need an hour after this, but fine. Just follow my lead as best as you're able, okay?
Wait, what do you mean? But wait, I did that in such a way that isn't going to paint me as a person of interest either.
Yeah, they're not going to think you're a person of interest. But they are about to discover that chocobos can fly.
What?
Can't remember. Your bird can take two, right?
Ra's just speechless.
Right. Here's what we're going to do. We're very quick about it. We can catch it up with. I'm going to make us both invisible. I'm going to get on the bird. You get on the bird. I am going to make the bird fly.
That's gonna paint that. But that's
Ra
gonna paint,
slowly smiles.
that's gonna paint Ra as a person of interest.
No, it's not. He's going to be invisible.
invisible.
Oh, all right.
They're going to be invisible. They're going to hop up on the bird, and then Artemis is going to cast fly and make the bird fly.
Artemis, why has it taken us this long to actually really work together? All right.
Blame the weird.
Time is short. Let's go.
Right. And I presume they get as close to the close to the party as they possibly can, and then Artemis is going to reach out, grab Ra, and then she's going to cast invisibility on them.
All right. So.
Wait! Ra stops her right before she does. Can you
Yes.
concentrate on both of those?
Invisibility. I thought invisibility wasn't concentration.
It is.
Wah.
You can only invisible one person at a time.
Oh no, I mean, you can't be invisible and then fly.
Right.
1 second. Let me double check. I think you might be right.
Yeah, invisibility's concentration up to an hour.
Hmm.
Simply speaking, if you don't concentrate on a spell, doesn't it only last a round?
I don't think so. I think it just stops.
It just stops.
Really? I swore you could cast concentration spells without concentrating, like on them.
No.
It just okay. That's weird. Gotcha.
Concentration spells, you have to keep them going in order to maintain the effect, so the minute you stop concentrating.
It's gone, so.
Yeah.
That's a cool house rule, though. Stop concentrating, it has a little bit of lingering effects.
No, as in, like, you can cast a concentration spell and not concentrate on it. It just lasts only a round if you do so.
Alright, new plan then. Does the bird have enough intelligence to consent to a spell being used in it?
I mean, it didn't fight the Death Ward.
Death Ward isn't a contestation. I think he's talking about Dimension Door.
Yeah, I sidle up invisible, grab the bird, and dimension door.
So
over
they're
there.
currently stopped, like peeking out of an alleyway. Ra's gonna duck back into the alleyway and he's going to say, Artemis, you have no idea how floored I am by your sudden ability for empathy for me and Quetzal, but he will be okay under the policeman's control. And honestly, I think that it might be for the best that he's in there and not with us, because it makes us very identifiable. You can still turn into other people, right? Or was that abandoned?
Kind of, but it's not as good. I'm not physically becoming the thing.
So it goes from infallible to just convincing.
No, it goes from... Actually, the one I have now is slightly more convincing because it changes my clothes as well, but it's just an illusion. People can see through it if they have that ability.
And these people rely on science.
Oh, right, then they're fucked.
Rock gives a thumbs up. At the very least, we have 8 hours, and if I'm feeling particularly paranoid, at the end of that, I will just sneak in and do it again. Let's just find our myth and teepee.
Myth and teepee somewhere else, completely untraceable. Riff.
I told them to wait at the inn. So there's like, I don't know, 20% chance they're still there.
That's quite forgiving.
Very.
How about we take a random set of corridors for 20 minutes before asking for directions to the Overlook? That will probably
Wait.
increase our chance at running into them.
Wait, can't you cast sending now?
Yes, but only one more time.
This is kind of an urgent thing.
Alright, I assume you want me to talk to Myth?
Yes.
Great. Should I... How about we go to the inn, and if they're not there, I'll cast Sending.
That's fine. Just remember you have 25 words to work with, so make
No.
good use.
Don't worry, I'm well aware. So, let's see this disguise in action.
And then she is going to use her...
Turn into a shadow hunter, babe.
Listen, I'm not here to fulfill you.
Well, to be fair, that would probably be very convincing.
Fine, whatever. And she will use the Mask of Many Faces, and she changes into. What does she change into? Because she kind of has full reign on her race again. What's the population of the town like? Mostly humans?
Mostly humans, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So she's going to turn into a. Basically, she's going to turn into a blonde shadow hunter that's got shorter hair than she normally does, and she's going to rearrange some of her looks so that she's not identifiable.
All right.
Don't forget
so-
the hat. No hat.
There is a.
Okay, no big hat then.
Yeah, it's not like her big fluffy eyes, like a bicorn.
Okay.
Well,
So you hold your palm up, some dark purpley magic swirls around it. It sort of slips through your fingers like water, lands at your feet, and then just spires upward. And as it envelops you, it fades, and now you look basically different.
yeah, she can cast that at will, so basically I'm gonna say she spends like about 30 seconds slightly altering a few things using a nearby reflective surface.
So Ra nods, and then Ra continues. All right. And what's your story?
What do you mean, what's my story?
Well, I am a shadow hunter in town for a few days, seeing the sights, as I learned that Ardengale was in the area.
And also, you. What about you learned that the Ardengale has cast off its divinity, basically trapped Ramu and starting to use him as a battery, and you're wondering if a similar trapping process could be used for demons.
Okay, so we'll just.
I like
just-
that myth, but that's way too closely tied to a very sensitive subject here.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Basically, I'm just going to act like you, so, you know, dumber than usual.
But also more handsome. Gotcha. All right. To the end we go.
Hooray!
All right, so you guys slip over to the inn. The
I'm
guard.
going to work on my voice as well. 1 second.
The guards are looking for basically not you two, so it's a pretty easy thing to get there.
Hell yeah.
You slip into the inn, and there's still a few people about. You guys find yourselves a nice little table near the big ol' window that stretches the round circumference of the basically the dining room ish
So on the way,
area.
Ra just silently muses to Artemis. You know, technically we could get off of this place. I would just cast Death Ward on everyone individually, and then we jump.
I cannot begin to describe how fucking painful that would be when we land.
But
We
we,
wouldn't
but we-
die.
we'd-
We'd just be in absolute agony and probably get eaten by wolves or something.
It would be extremely painful, yes.
but we could do it.
I'm not gonna say the thing, but I'm saying that I'm not gonna say the thing.
extremely painful. Horrible.
All right, so Artemis has turned into Bane.
All right, so we get to the Overlook, and Ra takes a look around for Myth and TP, who aren't there, so he approaches the barkeep.
Barkeep's basically being a barkeep, polishing a glass. Has a cool little neck handkerchief cravat thingy. Looks like your typical, stereotypical bartender.
So Ra's trying to get a read on this place. What is it? It looks like a tavern or an inn or.
It is basically a tavern with an inn. The inns are all upstairs on the second floor. You have to take the winding staircase to get to them, which kind of stretches around the outer side of the room. The bar is at the square center of it, with all the tables kind of around it. Barkeeper looks up at you. He's like, "What can I get you?"
I was wondering how expensive a couple days accommodation would be here.
How many in your party?
2.
Party of 2?
And Rod jabs a finger back at Artemis.
For 2 days, that'd be about 400 gil.
Same room?
Double up. We have large single bed. We have 2 beds.
2 beds works.
Alright, 2 beds. Yep, 400 gil for 2 days.
And any accommodations for pets? Say like,
What?
yay large, and he sort of motions however large teepee is.
He sneezes. That motherfucker.
Your opinion of them doesn't seem very high. How did you get dragged into this?
Depends on the pet.
Ask myself that every day.
So
He can stay in the wardrobe if he has to.
Alright, well, no more needless questions. 400 it is. He shoves 400 gil over to Senor Barkeep.
He kind of squints his eyes at you. He's making a little bit of an insight check. He's like, "You did mention pets," and then he dropped the subject.
I did.
But he just kind of shrugs it off. Takes your gil. He's like, "Right,
That,
here's your key."
that includes the food, right?
Of course.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr.
Me having a couple come up with names on the spot. It's Mr. Jarvie. Jarvie.
What a coincidence. He looks at Artemis. I'm Jarvie as well. Shadowhunter Jarvie.
Shadowhunter Jarvie. Wow.
And he reaches out to shake his hand.
Yeah, he gives your hand a good, firm, solid shake. You can kind of see at the edge of his sleeves, he's got a little bit of tattooage going on that he tends to cover up. He also has a little bit of a scar on his left cheek. But about as much as you can really glimpse at a glance.
Well, it'll be a pleasure seeing you around. He takes the key and reads the room number. And as he's heading up there with Artemis, unless she wants to do something...
Cheers, Governor.
Oh, God. As he's going up there with Artemis, he's like, alright, sending it is. Myth. I've recovered Artemis, and Quetzal is safe for the time being. Reconvene at the Overlook or ?
What? Are you using question marks 2 words, or?
That was the thought. Rod checks the wardrobes. Are there any clothes that are here?
In your room?
Yeah.
Nope. They're guest rooms. Typically, there is storage to put your own clothes, but you don't see any articles that might have been left behind.
Okay.
Alright, so...
Just for future, write your sending down before you send it.
probably a good idea. Alright, let's do this. Myth. She'll already know it's me. Myth. Artemis is safe. Quetzal kept as evidence, but safe for 8 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Meet at Overlook or where you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so we're at 20. Anything I'm missing? As it stands, I still have the room to put question and mark as 2 words.
Yeah, don't worry about the punctuation. You come through as speaking to the other person anyway. So
Oh.
you can, so you can intone question mark. You don't need to actually say it.
Ra's kind of ignoring Artemis. Oh, wait. So, if I'm Jarvie, what's your new name? How about Diana? Yeah? Diana Einstein?
Have you told your name to anyone while you're here? I mean, not much point in the alias if no one actually knows what the name is to begin with.
So one thing with gaining notoriety from being a Shadowhunter mercenary is that I do occasionally get recognized. Better be safe than sorry.
Precious.
Alright. I don't know, Cornelia?
Cornelia, great. Jarvie and Cornelia. We can explain the names when we get there. Myth, Artemis is safe. Quetzal kept as evidence, but safe for 8 hours. Meet at Overlook or where you are. Give directions. Please. Thank you.
Remember that you've got 25 words to work with.
Uh-huh. And message sent.
And do you send anything back?
Okay, so I assume as we were going through one of the alleyways, I received this. So I paused for a second and tapped TP on the shoulder. Okay, wait. So can I just like choose when to send something, or does it start like automatically after I receive?
You choose.
Okay. Ross sent me a message. He and Optimus are safe. Quetzal, I do not know the situation of exactly, but is safe for 8 hours. And he's suggesting that and he's asking if we should meet at the Overlook or wherever we're, well, headed, I suppose.
And you guys just came from the Overlook and it's kind of nearby it still. You haven't really moved much. Wait. Actually, you did.
Yeah, this is an hour. This is at least an hour after
Yeah.
the initial scene.
Yeah. No, I'm dumb.
So I guess you guys have to do stuff and then catch up? Because it sounds like you're going to get to where you're going way before you get this.
Depends on how long, if an hour gets us there or not. DM?
You're pretty close to the big old X on the map, and you haven't really come into any contact with any guards. So that said, Pass Without Trace has worn out.
Yeah, it has.
So you can continue to press on, or you can double back. What's your choice? What's your call?
And I
think
still
perhaps
we're
it-
in the middle. Sorry, you go first.
Well, I think perhaps it would be best for them to come. If they're, safe, we're currently not. Koopa.
Indeed. The question is how to tell everything within the limits of a sending spell. Especially with
That
a cult.
happen in a lot of winding alleyways here.
Here's a hint. Find a landmark.
It doesn't know that. Thank God.
So
should we head to wherever this may be before we reply?
I mean, if it's a trap, it would avail us to have their help. Koopa.
All right then.
When have strange letters from strangers ever led you into a trap?
Is there maybe
In this
a
campaign,
city street name or something around in one of these alleys, Koopa?
So the current area that you're actually in right now seems to be a workers' district. A lot of warehouses around. Seem to be close to a shipping yard adjacent to cargo airships.
cargo airships. Do they have numbers printed on the sides of them? The warehouses and cargo, or like piers or anything?
They do, and next to the X is a number 28.
Perfect. Let's head to wherever this X is first, then send a reply.
You're pretty close to it.
Okay.
Gotcha. So, all right. Wait. Would it be better? Pass Without Trace has worn off. Should I reapply it, or?
I don't think it's been like an hour. They can't still be looking that favorably for us, Koopa.
If you say so.
That's
If you say so, I look around and. Alright, let's proceed.
Alright, you super glance about. There are a few patrolsmen, but they're not close to you. And you're kind of within like a good sprinting distance of this warehouse 28. Should you so choose to make a dash for it, you could probably get there pretty quickly. But that's up to you how you want to approach this.
Wait, there's a dead sprint to the warehouse?
It's
Like more back alleyways to it, at least.
so you're
picked it
again you're tuckered in an alley. You're kind of tucked into an alleyway. The actual warehouse is up the street. I'd give you a cardinal direction, but those don't really matter in this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is Theater of the Marm. So,
Right then.
if you had to guess, You could probably say that it was about a block and a half away from where you're at.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
And there aren't any patrols looking this way.
None that you can see her at the moment.
I mean, it would probably be more suspicious if they see two people. If they see two people like running, well, running in a particular direction. Could be. What do you
Let's
think?
just take it casually, Koopa.
All right.
Should
Do-do-do-do.
probably tell them now where we're going, at least. I mean,
I don't have a sending spell on me right now in case something more untoward happens.
hey, if we die, then they know where our corpse is, Koopa.
Right now, all right. Help me count out the words.
Might die, but
Right. On. We may. Let's see. We have found a lead headed warehouse. Was it 58?
28.
28, Koopa.
Headed to warehouse 28. Oops, 28. 8 in workers. Actually, next to airship box. Next to airship.
You could probably just call it the shipping yard.
Shipping yard and airship docks are the same amount of letters, same amount of words. So
It's your sending spell.
all right. Anything else? Anything else I need to mention, TP?
TP shrugs.
Right. Okay, so they receive. We may have found the lead. Headed to we're headed to warehouse 58 next to the airship docks.
28.
28. Wait, what did I say?
Said 58.
Again? Why do I keep on saying 58? I said 20. I meant to say 28 there.
Maybe you're into older airship yards. It's fine.
What? Okay.
Preferences are preferences.
I'll judge.
Alright, so having this said, we're going to I assume QTP and I are going to head to warehouse 28. 28.
Yep.
Did you write all that down?
Oh, not on chat, but here.
God, me getting sending was the best thing that's happened to this campaign.
Sending as a whole is amazing.
It's the internet before the internet was a thing.
So Roz got his legs at the knee hanging off the bed, and he's just He's just got his arms spread as he looks up at the ceiling, and then all of a sudden his face scrunches up and his brows furrow, and his neck flexes and his head looks up at Artemis, and he says, "Artemis? Let me quote her. We may have found a lead."
Someone's been reading
What
too much
lead?
novels.
What leads are we looking for?
I mean, if you'd said a clue, that would be more accurate.
Oh, well, we're headed to Warehouse 28 next to airship docks. Ugh, his head just flops back on the bed. Well,
Did you all just get buried out of roll 20?
No.
I did not. Wait, yes.
That's interesting. I saw it happened here too. Everyone but me's gone.
I'll
Yeah,
reload.
same. Fucking roll 20.
Gotta
Damn
love
it.
Fucking roll 20.
Fuck again, roll 20. You fuck again, bit.
Alright, me
Bic-
and Meth
Bic.
say there we go. More people are back.
Alright, so,
Cover.
well, to the shipping yard then?
That was only 15 words. What's she doing with the other 10?
The other 10 what? Oh, he shakes his head. I highly advise you to stop adhering our friends to such a high standard. They found a lead, Artemis. A lead. He claps his hands together. A lead.
I can't believe Biff has a favorite type of novel already.
This is going to get us all killed, but it is the reunion we were talking about.
If you're going to insist on the aliases, by the way, I suggest you start using them from now on.
You stopped using the voice. I thought he just gestures between them. Whatever.
What?
Oh, while they're having that conversation, what's QTP and I go up to? I want to know what's in this warehouse. Come on.
There are boxes. As if this was some kind of warehouse.
It's the actual final big bad evil guy that can be.
Robert, you're gonna have to reload because I see 5 people in this room and one of them's not.
It's
Oh!
It's closed.
It's the big bad evil guy standing in
Cloist,
this.
sitting on the corpses of thousands of other policemen, having proven himself the strongest.
And he says, "I'm going to ship you an ass kicking."
Then we wake up in an airship headed to Highgate somehow.
Hey, you.
Kind of
you're
like
finally-
the Skyrim opening sequence.
Okay,
except
shut
I'm
up.
here.
Shut
You
up.
too.
Yeah, Skyrim joke. Okay.
Got him.
We get it.
That took
all right.
no time for you to start yelling. The Jonah trigger's real.
It is. Especially when he should be fucking muting himself. Thank you.
Yeah, Jonah, for you.
Let's continue with the game.
Yeah, I'm about to. Alright, so you guys hurry on over to the warehouse like a couple of scampering mice. You approach the front, and the big ol' slidey door is closed.
Understandably so.
Do you want to knock?
Do you want to cast knock?
I'm going to knock 6 times.
Alright, so the big ol' slidey shutter door, knock on it. Ping, 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 ping.
6. Ping.
And there is no response. It is marked with a big old 28, kind of painted on there. Stencil etched on there, rather.
Oh, what's the stencil say?
I mean, it's the
28, Koopa.
Oh, the stencil. Oh, my bad. I thought the 28 and the stencil were two separate things.
It's just basically been stencil spray painted onto the door, more or less. No response from the door. You have a glance around. There is a set of stairs to the side of the warehouse, and they seem to lead up.
Let's check here.
Well, take our chances. Might as well take our chances then.
Came all the way here.
Ah.
Turning back now.
Find out at least.
You guys ascend the steps. There's a smaller single-person door. It is closed.
Would you like to do the honors this time?
TV shrugs and tries wiggling the doorknob first.
The doorknob does not open, but a slit in the door does, and a pair of eyes that you do not recognize are peering through the hole. What you want?
We came with directions, Koopa.
Indeed, yes. I kind of I awkwardly show the note with the map and the little symbol at the corner.
His eyes dart on the map. They fix on the symbol, and a little bit of a tilt. We're opening the bay. It closes, and you hear some clinking, and you hear the noise of perhaps the front slidey doors opening.
This is loud. Oh well. Alright, might as well. So I guess I'm headed downstairs and to the big slidey doors.
It is now open. It's pretty dark though. The light is low. It's not completely pitch black, but the light is low.
Right.
You do make out some crates and other stuff, or the rough shapes of such.
I look around. Is the guy anywhere?
You don't see anyone in this low-lit, cavernous maw of a warehouse opening.
We're going to get our heads knocked in, aren't we?
We might, Koopa.
Oh, maybe that would give me a rest. I'm getting a headache from this entire day's misadventures now. Actually, do I have any candles on me right now? Do I have any candles?
Do you?
Do you?
I actually do. Okay. Oh. I'll take out a candle and then I take a candle out from my bag and just like, this is going to be very stupid of me, but and use Rudecraft to light it up, light it. Just basically like as I head in.
All right, so you conjure some elemental magics, and with a snap, the candle sparks to life, or with a wave of your hand, however you do it. And you carefully step in. TP, are you going in too, or are you waiting outside?
Yep, sure. He'll come in. He's like He just kind of shrugs his shoulders and is like, all right, let's do this.
All right. So
If we die, we die.
you guys get in. How deep in do you want to go? You don't really see anyone immediately, but you can make out like boxes, poles, other such supplies. You can make out those pretty decently now that you have a good set of lighting. You also, in the far distance, can make out the faintest trace of what might be stairs up to the second level, perhaps.
Okay, so this is the warehouse, and this is the big shoot, clunk, 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 clunk. Okay, so how far in are the boxes?
They're kind of lining the sides for the most part.
Okay, blah, blah.
They stack to be about a little over 10 feet high.
Oh. Alright, blop, 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 blop. Then there's some holes there's some holes, and then there's some other things. And there's like I guess I'm just going to walk towards the stairs if nothing happens to me.
All right, so you make it about halfway across the thing, and then like the doors just slide shut behind you. You kind of should have expected this. You do notice some faint movement as they shut behind you. You notice it up in the corner of your eyes on the second level. Several figures moving about, and some lights just flash down on you, pretty blinding directly into.
That was a mistake. I used Druidcraft to put out the candle I was holding.
Yeah, so you basically have these spotlights on you. You have several people that are lined the upper floors. Some of them have guns pointing at you. The others have like weapons drawn. There is a figure standing on the balcony directly ahead of you.
I think I'm beginning to understand Artemis's disdain for her life.
This figure, from what you can make out, is pretty cloaked. You don't really see any features, but you do see a staff. And the staff seems to be what seems to be affixed at the head of the staff is a cog-shaped staff head, much like the symbol that was on the parchment that you were slipped. The figure speaks down to you and he says, "Are you the rabble-rousers that have come to our fair city, or are you perhaps agents sent in their place?"
It's rabble-rousers. Specific than that. Oh, Vit, as she says that, Vit just kind of like rubs her face, like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe if that that has to be more specifically defined for us now. What have we got ourselves into?"
The good officers are in quite a tizzy.
Well, if you'd like, you could. I suppose if you'd like, you could turn me in, but you're not going. I don't believe you'll get a cash prize.
Only we're on such good terms, but no, I don't think we will be turning you in. I think, actually, if you are who you say you are, we could both benefit from some mutual assistance.
Ah, finally! I was hoping. Finally, if I get to hear something like that in this city. Ah. Where's
the
QTP? Where? Okay. I'm just assuming that the floodlights all flashed in on Myth, and then QTP was just like kind of like left there in the darkness, like
So the figure raises his staff, and as it does, as he raises his staff, it glimmers a little bit, and some runes begin to glow on the floor around you. If you want to roll Arcana check, feel free to do so.
Staying. I think I might. Yes. Bloop.
Let's see.
It's magic. It's light.
It's obviously magic. I can give you that it is an enchantment spell of some kind.
Huh.
He begins to continue to. He continues to speak as he starts to move. You can hear the pattering of heavy footfalls on iron grates as he makes his way towards the stairs down onto the lower level. He says, "I hope you'll pardon the precautions, but
I can't. Sorry, can't talk right. Can't talk apparently. If it really is as I'm expecting, then well, I believe that the authorities are maybe looking for you as well."
He steps down, and the light is kind of pulled out of the way so it's not directly beaming in your eyes. It seems like the light just sort of like bends around him, but it's obviously the people moving the big old spotlights. So as he comes more into view, the lighting is still pretty stark, but you can make out the features of a middle-aged man. He's kind of got a little bit of black facial scruff. He's got curly black hair, dark green eyes. He's kind of clad in like these blue armored robes. Why do I have your names?
I am Myth, here from the... Or if you've heard of me through the rabble, Lady Ozina Mithra of the Vinzazeria house in Mist.
He raises his eyebrows.
Cool.
He raises his eyebrows. I was not aware that I was in the presence of Mysidian nobility. 1,000 pardons.
Also the Pope.
I had thought my name renounced, as it is not a subject I often bring up to others.
And Myth's way easier to say, Koopa.
Well, I should feel privileged. And you? And he nods to the Moogle.
I'm QTP Muggington, Koopa. Nice to meet you.
As for myself, you can call me Serge Cavani. I lead... Well...
Your boy!
I lead what remains of the children of Robert. So we are branded a cult.
He's kind of a boundary right now, Koopa.
Yes, I'm well aware of...
Oh, good. Well, we want to free him. Definitely on your side, Koopa.
Free maybe too. Regardless, we would not have but we would not have quarrel with you. The problem lies primarily in
Getting
well,
around?
where what did QTB say?
The problem lies primarily in getting around? Kind of got guards looking out for us after our escape,
Yes.
since we, let all the wind out of the captain's sails, Koopa?
Yes, but not only that. Sus, circa, Kanavi, are you aware of the incident with Ifrit that occurred in Alakashia?
So this man who calls himself Surge, this leader of the Children of Ramu, basically the temple, which has been branded as they've been basically ostracized and branded against the cause or what have you. He brings his fingers up to his chin scruff and he kind of nods slowly. It was quite a revelation for all of us to hear of both the developments in our neighboring cities. Most disturbing.
Indeed. We have come here to see to the state of Ramu when we fell afoul of the principles the city are under now.
So, been a pretty dire predicament.
Yes,
I'm sure you can well imagine.
Yes, Alright, how do I want to put this? Let's see. Good ad-libber. Holy crud.
25 words or less.
Great. There goes my train of thought. Thanks, Zewers. Oh well. Let's see, what was I about to say again? Dire predicament, and there. Regardless of what may become of the faith, I believe we know the agents that had forced the events to transpire, and thus we were here to check to see if Ramu had been disturbed as well.
Well, he begins to pace about. It was on my so-called comrade's initiative. My so-called peers' initiative. That, in light of these recent developments, they thought that the wise arbiter of Levin should be contained, lest we suffer the same fate as the other cities. I, of course, spoke out against such a rash action. And, well, with the majority vying in favor, he kind of thins his lips. Though, to be truthful, one second. Sakurani. Where is it? Is it gone? Did I just not save it?
Oh no. I'm sorry.
Welp.
Sorry.
Welp. I have to rewrite all that shit. Okay, well, anyway. Seems like the Lord of the House of Innovations had been planning to go through with this, and the recent developments in the other cities was just as, if you'll pardon the expression, the spark he needed to revolutionize the way that we approach the crystal.
When did this head of development begun? Do you know when this head of development had begun to plan on this, or was it an idea that he simply brought up after the events transpired in other cities?
Well, he definitely had the plan ready on hand when things took a turn for the worse. He merely needed to label it as a hedge against impending disaster. And
Strange.
well, he motions around to the people who have basically lowered their weapons. You can see that the young, blonde, curly-haired boy is among them. He's kind of keeping to himself, much like the others. We're all that remains of the Order. Many have chosen to abandon the faith, where others have openly opposed such a radical shift in ideology. And, well, they have found themselves imprisoned for it.
So easy as well. By any chance, has there been Kale? Kale, what does Kale look like again? Crud, I've always been imagining him at the same way I imagine Kelsier, from Mistborn, and I don't think that's like the correct.
You haven't. I don't think you guys have seen much of Kale's personal appearance, except that he's blonde. Actually, no, I think he did lower his hood. Didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and
yeah, so he seems to be blonde. Kind of has hair at about shoulder length that he ties into a ponytail. But most often he likes to keep his hood up, and he likes to keep subtle into the shadows. So, I mean, you could describe his appearance, but
has there been a hooded man that accompanies this head of development recently, or perhaps a blonde man who has his hair tied into a ponytail?
he looks around, and there's like a couple of guys that have blonde hair tied into ponytails, but they don't really match. They don't really match Kale's description at all.
Never mind. I don't seem to remember his facial features very well.
Serge kind of quirks his eyebrow at you and suspicious man.
Indeed, we have reason to believe that he and his compatriots, whomever they may be, are behind the incidents in Alcashia and in Mist.
Well, I can't discount the possibility that the head of the House of Innovations might have outside influence, which has been cause for such a radical decision. The man's always been ambitious in his own right. And I suppose the right words whispered in his ear could be cause for him to engineer such a
Wouldn't be surprised then.
sacrilege.
I should mention if compatriots come to this location, one of them is a dark, or a dark. One of them is a dark man wearing Shadowhunter garb, or with red tattoos, and the other is a human who can be seen in wearing blue and is well known to have a very large hat.
Very large hat, Koopa.
The latter may be in disguise.
Well, that's so.
If they knock in the next couple of minutes, we'll know.
The next couple, it took us nigh on an hour to arrive here from the.
You guys are moving at a moderate pace, and you were kind of taking a windabout route to get here to avoid the authorities. So
Fair enough.
That said, is not Artemis and not Ra making a beeline there?
I think that it's pretty understandable for them to get there. The job was to, reconvene. They have the rooms.
Fair.
Artemis and Myth can share beds. It's fine.
I don't think I don't think Myth is going to be staying into what's it called again?
I'm still here, but
All right, so I guess we do make a beeline.
All right, and you don't arouse much suspicion outside of the fact that you're shadow hunters, but
Hunters are weird, right?
a lot of people will just commonly basically associate shadow hunters. Well, might be some demons that cropped up in some shitty basement somewhere.
God, Mom, the demons are back! Call the shadow hunters.
some shitty basement in this floating island.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, the island's got crust too.
Sweetie, I sent her son down to the basement to clean up, and I kept forgetting we don't have a basement. So now we don't have a son.
All right, so how long does it take us to get there?
Probably about 20 minutes by foot.
Right.
So then pretty much as soon as TP says, within a couple minutes...
Bang, 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 bang.
TP looks incredibly smug.
Serge perks up and he says, "Hi, Stuart's background noise."
Yeah, it's probably your fan.
Nope.
I'm just gonna wait
gotta
for
be
that
something.
I'm just gonna wait for that background noise.
All right,
to...
it's gone.
Okay. Right. Serge perks up and he says, friends are punctual. I like that. He nods to one of the guys controlling the switchboard for the shutter doors, and he... Yes, continuing. He pulls down the big old lever, chink, and the doors slide open on their gear work. You two are standing there. There's spotlight shining on your two friends, and there's a man with curly black hair, fairly tall stature, wearing armored robes. Looks to be a cleric of some sort.
Ra looks at Cornelia, looks forward, looks up at the bay door that just opened in front of him, takes a couple steps inside so it can close behind him.
Alright. I'm guessing you both step inside or just Ra?
Sure.
Optimus?
Ra just yells, "Found a lead?"
The doors shut
I
once
cross my
more.
arms.
Ra sighs and walks up to Surge. Hey, Jarvie.
He looks at the floor, which is kind of glowing softly with blue runes, and he looks at you. That's the
I
alias you
apologize
choose
about
to
him.
go by.
Well, Ra, but Jarvie in front of the
Of
ones
course.
in uniform.
I will understand discretion.
Really?
And then he turns around and he says, "I don't suppose this young miss introduced herself as the Pope of Mist?"
Ah? I know.
Yes. She introduced herself as a lady of the Dizentheria household.
Perfect. Well, it's probably a good idea to keep that on the hush-hush as well. As for him, and he looks at TP. Looks back at Surge. To be honest, I don't even know where to start with him. Either way,
What's the mean, Koopa?
just to keep you on the up and up, I'm in a little more advantageous of a position than my three compatriots here. They got a little caught up in the law, but I'm not as branded.
That's how we were able to find a lot of you, actually. Make stick out, make a scene like that. It's bound to draw eyes, but
It unfortunately,
fortunately,
Ra and Surge both stop. Ra continues, "It unfortunately does not have much merit after we have to get some field work done. That
Right.
said, I helped one of your kind in Highgate. I am sympathetic to your cause."
and we are a haven, if you will have it.
Well, 400 gil down the drain. So, and he takes a step back, so he's kind of
To
at
be fair, if
pace.
you guys stayed there, it would probably be less suspicious.
It would, yeah. He takes a step back at the, or if we need two different places to run to. He steps back so he's on pace with everybody else, or at least the rest of his party, and he puts a thumb on his chin. We have some information that is very likely going to be prudent here very soon, if not already pertaining to recent events. I've seen with my own eyes the product of tampering with the crystal in Mist. Me and my friends here have slain Ifrit after his rampage for so-called conquest in Alakashir.
Serge is raising his eyebrows. Didn't think I was in the presence of renowned godslayers as well.
He shakes
Not
his head.
sure-
There's
Puffs his chest up.
the reverence for them is not. He sighs. It's something I take quite a bit of comfort in. However, they are being used to sow chaos. They are being used to further the agenda of 4 individuals, only 2 of whom I've met, who have very selfish, very destructive reasons for doing so. In Mist, a man named Argion, a mage of repute, loosed Shiva onto the city and basically left her to her rage. A man named, what was his name again?
What?
Kale, Koopa.
Kale, like the vegetable. He did the same thing in Alikashir. They're very much using them to sow chaos, and they've got to have an underlying agenda, something that we've very briefly touched upon with a few other individuals, but either way, we're here to help, and Ramu is a very big part of that. There's a lot of pieces moving right now, and it's very important that if we can find whoever's going to probably replicate the same kind of chaos up here before it happens, well,
Especially with the state of the city as it is in now, if assuming that this individual was not who planted the idea in the first place, is the city may very well quite literally fall to its doom.
well, I don't think so, actually.
I can't imagine Ramu's happy about being used as a battery.
He looks at Myth. I've been
You
thinking
think?
about that for a second, and it seems like usage of Ramu as a battery is somewhat recent in comparison to Ardengale actually rising into the sky. He looks at Surge for confirmation.
Back at the city's founding, it was nothing but an empty tower, sitting in, well, you now know it as, God, not even the DM knows it. You now know it,
As the upheaval.
you now know it as the Upheaval.
Okay.
And it has been there for quite some time. Dormant, but my order banded together with a bunch of researchers. And together we set out the principles. We studied the tower. We found out its mechanisms. And through our collaborative efforts, it ascended into the sky and became the community as you know it now.
Ra nods. So, it would seem that if Ramu were not being utilized as a battery, it's still very much his will that keeps it aloft. So should he choose to look at the city in scorn, it would fall. Am I correct?
Ramu has never been a capricious one, however. We've always known him to be a deliberate god. A very, I guess, pragmatic would be a word for it. Though, if truly he is overtaken by grief, I do not know how much that will.
Also, I would have to imagine he's not going to be in the best mood since he's been stuffed into a small transparent crystal for God knows how long.
Their rage is not unfounded, nor is it unexpected.
If Reed said to bade Lady Shiva to remember the compassion and wisdom she wants to treasure, perhaps it would be the same in here.
Ra grits his teeth a little bit, but doesn't say anything.
Myth, as just to describe it, as Myth is saying that she looks very somber and isn't like looking up. She's not very happy about that deal either.
Now then, introductions have been made. I think it prudent to discuss how we're going to be going about this.
Indeed. I will admit that my order is on the back foot. We are, well, openly revering Ramu nowadays is cause enough to find yourself imprisoned. And so we take to our dedication in private and contemplate matters as they are. Which
The bureaucracy
complex.
of Ardengale, how fragile would you say it is? The guild responsible for the innovations, you called them,
House of
utilizing Ramu,
Innovations.
is that, say it were to be dismantled, would that be destructive to the other guilds, other districts of the city?
Well, you have the House of Innovations, the House of Commerce, which oversees the trade in this city and the relations with the other cities. As you know, being a loft like this, there are certain models that we must reach out to the others.
House of Innovations, the House of what?
House of Commerce.
Yeah.
And then there is, of course, the House of Safekeeping. Basically, the good law enforcers. Though, to say that they are in the House of Innovation's pocket is not too exaggerated, is it true?
One more question, just to set the stage as well as possible here. How, are you aware of any meddling in Ardengale by Fleursians?
It is a possibility I've entertained, but I've not found any concrete evidence of yet.
Part of the chaos that is introduced by the unleashing of Shiva onto Mist, there were several Fleursians stationed undercover in the city that essentially allowed it to be invaded at the same time that a large force of the city had gone out to face Shiva.
That is the most alarming revelation.
That said, it is something we can learn from and make accommodations for. I think the first method that we should entertain is one of talking down the Guild of Innovation. Is that who leads it?
Out of character,
Artemis
out of character, I had a name for the guy, but then I somehow just
Wasn't it Dude Guy's dad?
Dude, go.
Yeah,
was.
it was Marius's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see if I can dig up the notes somewhere. But yeah.
Ross squinted the name. Can I roll history?
Sure. And with a roll of 7, sounds important, but you're not sure.
Okay,
Of the
what does
details.
Surge say about talking him down?
Well, he basically repeats. The man's always been ambitious. Of course, this is an uncharacteristically large step of ambition than I've been used to.
Well, say we can find an alternative. A viable alternative from using Ramu to power the city. Obviously, nobody's going to be happy with things as they are being stripped down to respect some god figure that they may not believe in. If we can maybe cross-reference some technologies of other places?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you've
Ra
just
looks at
got-
Artemis.
You've just got
Lufenia.
an infinite source. What?
Lufenia. They were technological marvels.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't believe we know much of the
Well, yes, but
What-
say we
what
introduced
knows-
some of the Lufenian ruins to the director of the Guild of Innovations. That would no doubt be a viable alternative.
John?
So
The only ruins that we found of Lufinio had been destroyed by Kyle.
give me a second.
Huh?
So Ra, you're aware that I'm an archaeologist, yes?
He nods.
One of the greatest difficulties in archaeology is the fact that we don't know precisely what people were doing back at the time. So whatever we've salvaged from ruins is at most our best guess. Now, if I were to present a Lufenian object to you, how would you be able to determine if that was some form of power supply or a device for making, I don't know, bread crisper or something?
I found it.
Nice. That's better than having to remake it.
Yes.
Well, Artemis.
Thank
it
you.
isn't-
So Chief Elsmore Janius is
Thanks.
a 42-year-old.
His name's Martius Janius?
Yes.
That sucks. No wonder he was bullied. Well, seems the Peanut Gallery has decided for us.
I'm just saying we don't exactly have an infinite source of Levin energy on tap. If we did, we probably would have been using it before now.
He kind of looks down and around at the tower, or not the tower, but the warehouse that they're in. And they kind of like, Serge has a sudden blink in realization. And he says, "It's a stretch, but this tower wasn't necessarily built. It was discovered."
And how do you know it wasn't a CRISPR, Artemis?
He
Oh, let the man talk. We may be dealing with Lufrenian ruins to support your theory.
Somebody had to build this
what-
place. Perhaps it is this Lufinian in design?
Are you implying that the ones explored the entire thing before?
There are still places yet unexplored.
So this means that you, your ancestors, and the ones that assisted them in activating the tower could possibly discern more meaning from the Fenian ruins than someone such as this archaeologist here.
Oh, we have not discovered all of its mysteries of yet, but
At the very least, to start, we can try to convince this Guild of Innovations away from using Ramu.
Oh yes, I'm sure no one's tried asking them nicely not to do it before.
It's not about asking nicely, it's about proposing an alternative, and this is a viable alternative.
Of course, that's assuming if they'd be willing to listen to a viable alternative.
You say
Again.
that he is uncharacteristically innovative as of late. I have no doubt that one of our friends is in his pocket, nudging him in this direction.
Right, so, a small hole in your theory, if I may.
Place was already flying before they started using Ramu. Ramu is not conditional on this place flying. They're using Ramu because they want to power bigger and better things. not a question of finding an alternative. It's not a necessity. It's a luxury.
Ramu is also a dead end. They've found a battery. That's it. It's just a power source. The more they understand the Lufenian design, which it seems like they don't understand it all the way as of right now, they'll be able to divine their own power sources, the same way that civilization did. It seems to me that this Guild of Innovations is taking a shortcut because it was proposed to him by a meddler. Why research the Lufenians when you can just apropos this god right here?
And therefore, why now pivot to the Lufenians when the god is working?
What?
Well,
Why would you change tracks, Koopa?
Yeah, why would he change tracks? It's working. The lamps are working.
You're right. They are working. They are being powered by a very angry, very, very powerful, very...
all right. Sentiments aside, we're not going to get anywhere if we're simply arguing back and forth like this.
If you want your thing to work, you're going to have to do...
Have you seen how we do things, Koopa?
If you want this thing to work, you're going to have to do another step, which is to make the currently viable situation no longer viable.
What are your propositions?
Ra frowns. What if... Wait a minute. What if we let Ramu out?
Excuse me?
Even Surge is kind of craning his head back a little bit. That's a bold strategy.
Well, it immediately puts us in the winning position. It automatically makes Ramu sympathetic to us. And... well... I'm pretty sure it would also surprise whatever shadowy individual is snooping around up here trying to incur his wrath. I kind of like this idea, actually.
And what? And your...
Leave that as a last resort, then.
Your plan for him sinking the island with his divine judgment bolt is...
Not only that, if we do free him and it turns out that he's angry and would gladly unleash his anger on the populace, we're rather short on people to...
Ra holds up a finger and he says, we have brought to heal a god before. We've got
Eight of us.
He waves a hand dismissively.
Seven of us.
And
Yes,
it's made us all the stronger, hasn't it?
Yes, but I would also like to point out that we fought said god out in the middle of nowhere and not in the middle of a civilian population.
And with 4 more people, Koopa.
We had remarkably less people if we have, you know. And he just displays a hand to Surge and his men.
We're not.
What's your take on this?
We're the ones chosen by the crystals.
He looks at Surge. What does Surge take this for?
Well, seems to be mulling things over, especially since EP just said we're the ones chosen by the crystals.
Yes, ignore the muggle. He's on Somnus or something.
At any rate, let's
Somnus?
start from step one. All of us agree that we need to do something about the entire situation of them using Ramu as a battery, and as well as us being stuck here for now.
Well, I fail to see a way we can really get an audience with this director of the Guild of Innovations unless we have a reason to have an audience with him. So let's have one of us do some digging on his background, see if we can figure out a way to get him interested in us.
Not
What about that
necessarily.
letter?
What letter?
Written to, written to us by a man who
Represents
was
the letter that we were given.
What?
That would be. Have you read? What does the letter say? And very well might say, please apprehend these people who send a letter to you. Who bring you this letter or such.
Artemis
TP
just
shrugs, conceding the point.
Artemis just casually flicks the letter at TP.
What's it say?
What's the letter? What?
The letter of introduction that
The letter the guard captain had. Yeah.
Does it
looks
say
like-
got him, Lamau?
It looks like a bunch of unintelligible scribbles. He had literally just pretended to write something.
Not even legible at all.
However, it might not be too far of a possibility.
There's got to be
Yes.
something.
Serge, am I given to understand that the people around here are not great practitioners of magic?
Well, he kind of glances at his staff.
Aside from yourselves, of course. I mean the more technologically oriented faction.
Right.
There didn't seem to be many countermeasures in place for when we left the guards captains.
Well, it's not every day that a mage just brazenly blasts her way out of a police office. And he just kind of politely smiles at you.
In which case, I think there might be something we can do.
I do believe that it would be necessary for us to explore the depths of the tower as well.
Artemis
Perhaps that may.
Artemis is going to take out a spear.
A spare what?
Artemis is going to take out a spear, pen and paper, and tears off a section for her three companions. Right. Write down all the spells you know, because I'm not really familiar with your current skill sets.
Ra writes down spare the dying, thaumaturgy, light mending, cure wounds, healing word, guiding bolt, otherworldly call.
I'm assuming that Ra's writing this down. Okay, Ra's writing this down. As that, I'm going to say, if since TP and I don't believe are very would be very free to move around on the surface of the city. Perhaps that would leave searching the tower to us if we decide if we were to search its depths.
And likewise,
There might be.
any diplomacy would have to be done by either Artemis or I. Ra looks at Surge. I have forgotten my manners in all the hubbub. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I heard of this chosen by the crystal business. Who exactly are you people? And he glances down at the runes on the floor. I'd prefer if you were as direct and honest as possible in answering me.
Do you know who someone named Matoya is?
His eyes kind of dart about. It is a name I've heard before. I've not met a person of that household, but seems to have some renown in Galaserine, wasn't it?
Ron nods. Well, first I heard of this whole crystal business was after she notified me that my, she's a, what is it? An astronomer? That. He points to Artemis. She notified me that I had some string that was intertwined with the strings of, and he points to Artemis, Myth, Teepee, and then there's 4 others. And they're likely down in the Akazir, or Al-Ashar Desert at the moment.
He said be direct, Ra. We're the Warriors of Light, Kupo. Well,
That's
maybe.
a title
We're
I'm
still
currently
working on the
fighting against. Either way,
Regardless-
Fate, Kupo.
the best.
Regardless of what they're saying,
That's
saying there
terrible.
may be a prophecy. There may be a prophecy associated with us found by
Matoya.
Matoya, as well as well, not just found by let's say Matoya. I do not remember. It's late. It's been a long day. I do not remember specifics.
Sid.
Thanks. Sid had then founded the academy and sought us out specifically because because according to that prophecy we were to avert a great evil that came upon the land in the forms of these of the 4 individuals that were mentioned to you who are responsible for the incidents in Mist and Alakashit.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
I don't really buy into it. That's why I'm fighting against the title. Warriors of Light sounds stupid. I like the
I
fate.
agree. Pilots of Fate sounds better.
Pilots of Fate sounds
No.
awful. We don't have an airship, you stupid fluff.
Literally piloting the fate of this star, Kupo.
No.
Can you 2 argue about the name some other time?
This is why no one buys it when you say this.
Either way, Surge, we are a real deal, we are real business, and we will help you with your city.
Semantics aside, can't help but be curious about this prophecy. Still, it seems like you've come here with only the best intentions in mind.
Oh, one more question. Could I keep a chocobo here?
He looks around, and it definitely seems spacious enough. Well, I suppose we could make accommodations. Not that any of us are really trained chocobo handlers, but...
Ra looks at TP and says, do you still have the greens? Do you still have the Gisal greens, QTP?
Right here.
Alright, well, while some of us are doing research into the background on the director of the Guild of Innovations, it sounds like the rest will be staging a jailbreak.
Sorry?
We've got to get Quetzal.
You said he was safe.
Yeah,
He wants
for 8
birds.
hours. He's evidence, and I assume you don't want to go into custody. Are you really
Fine.
sighing about this? It's your fault.
Fine, I'll go get your sodding bird.
You can.
Where's
you
that
can do
enthusiasm you had when we were peeking out from behind that building? And you remembered you couldn't concentrate on 6 things at once.
I wonder why that is.
Alright, let's divvy up the tasks. How and make a plan. How are we going to go about learning more about this Elsmore fellow?
Ra looks at Surge. Your guilds wouldn't happen to have any tours, would they? I'll also need to know about any notable libraries, seeing as how I'm the only one of us four that isn't wanted, which means that I can't really participate in the jailbreak. Much as I want to.
What was Ra asking after? Tours?
Yeah, like a tour of a guild. Like, how open to the
Tour?
public are they?
Oh, tour.
Yes, a tour. Oh, tours. I could see you say that, Robert.
I mean, the fuck's a tour? Fuck is a tour?
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
The book people that do fantasy books mostly.
He
I'm on tour guide.
Serge sort of pauses, kind of toys with his curly bangs, in thought. Actually, the House of Innovations definitely likes to wear its success on its sleeve. I'm sure a person with the right sort of cover story could quite possibly feign enough interest to get a foot in the door.
Does Myth want to propose her idea of Shadowhunter involvement in capturing monsters and crystals?
Sorry, what?
I don't want Ra to take credit for your really good idea on capturing demons and crystals the same way Ramu was.
Oh, okay. Known as a shadow hunter within the city, bounds of the city, correct? Potentially, you could use. How well known is this development in Audengale?
The one with using Ramu as a battery.
Yes.
Well, considering that they're openly banning the religion, it's probably a pretty known thing.
Alright.
What are you
And
implying
just-
here, Myth?
Many of the citizens have just sort of alright.
Implying that as a shadow hunter, you may, or perhaps you can say, you heard about the developments in Audengale and are interested in mimicking the same to fight or emulating rather the same principle on demons.
Clarity slowly etches itself on Ra's face as he looks at Myth, and he just moves his head to turn over to Surge with a wide grin, and he says, "I think she's done it. I think I can get in."
Why would anyone want? Why would anyone?
I mean, is it common knowledge that they're doing this?
Why would anyone want to trap monsters in small portable objects?
Who
Would anyone
knows?
want
Dog fighting or something.
Would anyone want to trap gold in a crystal and use them as a battery?
I think he was
suppose.
making a Pokemon joke.
Oh
It's very
yeah.
effective. You can take it as a
Oh yeah, I
Pokemon.
got that.
You can take it as imprisonment from World of Final Fantasy.
Alright, so I'll be gathering information on the director. You'll be figuring out how to extract Quetzal and get him here. Ra looks at Surge. What's your plan?
Well, as you may know, we relegate our tasks to working behind the scenes. We do not openly come into conflict with those who currently have run the city. We can only hope to undermine their efforts and delay well, anything that might.
If we're to extract, so it
Right.
may be good to have a distraction or some, or other manner of occupation.
Is it possible you could do some research into these shady figures we've talked about? See if there's been any word of their involvement with the guild itself? Or is that just something I'll have to keep an eye out for on my own?
We'll keep our eyes out on the streets.
Also, can't forget the flea urchins. Keep a lookout for them as well.
Of course.
I do have one other request, actually. Do you have a map of the city somewhere?
Surge, he looks towards one of his men.
Bless
Still
you.
loitering up on that balcony. Seems like since Surge has decided to trust you, they kind of trust you to some extent. The young blonde-haired 14-year-old looking kid, he nods to Surge and he slips away. Lewis will he'll get you a map into your hands. I believe you've met him already, and he motions to move.
No,
Well, anyway, what I was wondering is, would it be possible to mark on this the greatest concentrations of the Levin energy that they're extracting from Rama? Like places where they have a lot of light, so some great machine being powered by the energy being drawn from him.
Well, there are generator stations all about Arndale, which have been established recently. You can tell by the huge cylindrical... You'll forgive me if I'm not so technologically inclined as those of the House of Innovation, but the giant cylindrical silos with the glowing lights upon them, they tend to regulate the energy flow into the different districts of the city.
I see.
They are quite guarded, however. So, if you have a notion of sabotaging them, I suggest that you tread with due caution.
Sabotage was not quite what I had in mind.
Well, still, any sort of tampering, I imagine, will not be easy.
I had rather something different in mind.
He's kind of looking at you contemplatively. I have the feeling you're about to tell us.
Quite simple, really. We just need to prove to everyone that there is some manner of flaw within this Ramos system of theirs.
oh boy.
And these areas of greatest concentration of Levin energy will be the best place to put on a demonstration of that. And I do
Don't
really-
try your best to not get anyone hurt.
Oh, trust me, what I'm doing is completely harmless.
Is that for you or is that for bystanders?
I literally could not add someone with what I'm planning to do if I wanted to.
Oh boy. Myth looks doubtful, but she stops pressing the point.
Alright.
Economics, I have every invested interest in resolving this in a likewise manner.
So, afterwards, Rob pulls TP and Myth aside. For regardless of anything else that may have come out in our brief reunion, I'm glad that you're both safe. And as much as I love Quetzal, it would probably be weighing heavier on my conscience if it were one of you that we had to break out. That said, he holds up a finger. Birds? You turned into birds? You can do that?
Druids, Koopa.
Oh, yes.
They can do that. I turned into Quetzal, didn't I, Koopa?
Oh, I thought that was
Like
a
I could-
fever dream.
If you'd like, we could also turn Quetzal into something. I could turn Quetzal into something else as well. Temporarily.
No. Quetzal, I don't think his spirit would fit in quite anything smaller.
Perhaps that might be a simple way to break him out.
Artemis, honestly, some of the things she was proposing, he just glances over Myth's shoulder at Artemis. We've grown to be quite competent, haven't we?
Offs.
That said, the Pilots of Fate. Come on.
Oh.
I think it sounds lovely.
What about the
If you two are going to argue about names,
the
I'm
Azure
going-
Star, or the Radiant Horizon, or
We are a group, not a location.
but well, I guess I just have to resign myself to continuing to think that your ideas are stupid. And he flicks your
ideas are
pom pom. Actually, I do have something to do. I'll be back. And
Be safe.
he is going to leave the warehouse and find somebody.
Alright, so, who are you looking for?
Just anyone that I can ask for directions from.
So you're in the warehouse district.
Literally the people in the warehouse.
True.
That's fine. He approaches Surge. He's like, "Hey, where's the closest telegraphing station?"
Well, you'll want to, take leave of here, head up the street, turn the corner, a few blocks down, you'll find yourself in the commerce area, of course.
Alright, Ra follows his directions, gets there. I want to send a telegraph to Sylvia.
Alright.
And
So-
I'll just write that in chat while other people do their thing.
Okay.
TB just kind of pouts and looks at his staff. I wanted to find this stuff, and not be isolated in a warehouse.
Actually, before I set out, one more thing. You have a prayer room I could go over.
A what?
A prayer room.
We do have a little bit of a shrine set up down here. Of course, people are spending more time contemplating their faith than... regardless, he nods to one of the fellows to escort you towards their little makeshift church area. And he basically leaves you be.
Artemis is going to pray there for a bit.
There's a big old banister at the back end. It has the symbol. It's got the cog with the lightning bolt through it. It seems like this is the symbol they elected to choose for the basically Order of Ramu. So you sit down and you make a little prayer to Ramu.
Yep.
Oh, I should have really known that then, given that was one of the covers. Whoops.
So you do that, and you kind of hear like a bit of a chuckle in the back of your mind. Whispers of a chuckle, rather.
Oh, well, it's turn to prove book.
Oh, I think you know what's funny. This silly little farce. It's just amusing. It's just amusing seeing you play a part so fervently.
Yes, well, sometimes farce is comforting.
Just as lies are comforting, but it does not remove what they are.
No, it does not. But it doesn't change what they represent to some of these people. Image is very important nowadays, as I'm going to demonstrate very shortly.
I await your actions with bated breath. And the voice goes silent. And the music goes silent.
And Reverend Bot has been slain.
Rhythm, get back to us!
Farewell, Reverend Bot.
I ain't got rhythm. Oh, I guess I do.
Thank you, Rhythm. Bye, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
basically...
about 10 minutes later, she's going to come back.
So the whisperings of the book seem to be mocking your whole prayer thing. All right, Rhythmbot, you do you. Cool. Seem to be mocking your prayer and the sort of folly. Other than that, it goes silent. you come back to the rest. It seems like the group has kind of pretty much dispersed. Many of them are heading out to do, their own like reconnaissance work. Serge kind of remains stationed where he is in this warehouse. Kind of tending to his whole like duties as a sort of cleric person. Actually, he seems to be speaking with the young man.
Goodbye, Reverend Bot.
Yep.
We only have a few more minutes left in the session. Let's just do the rest without rhythm.
A moment of silence for Reverend Bot.
Yep.
All
Anyway,
right, it's over now.
he seems to be speaking with the young man, the blonde hair. The young man sees you, and he reaches into his coat and he pulls out a map for you. He's like, "Right. If you're gonna be doing something big, you're gonna need this, won't you, ma'am?"
Well, indeed. Now then, where would the biggest concentration of 11 be? Aside from the obvious ideas of the old temple, whatever it is used for nowadays.
Well, power regulators are pretty evenly dispersed out the city's in the city's districts. But if you really want to hit the city the hardest, you would probably start with the one in the commerce district.
Tell me, have you seen him?
Serge sort of tilts his head and he kind of furrows his brow, like, "Seen who?"
Have you seen Ramu?
I've seen the crystal, and I have felt the pulses of life within it. While Ramu has not directly spoken with me or intervened, I can feel his power around us. It is what set me on this path, is being sensitive. I've always been able to sense his power in the air. Not just in Ardengeale, but, well, everywhere.
The crackle of 11, the spark of ingenuity. I just wanted to know if... I just wanted to know if the beard was as impressive as it is depicted in legend.
He kind of like half shrugs. If he does manage to break free of these so-called bonds, I suppose we'll find out firsthand, won't we?
Well, as long as no one else is quite aware of what he looks like either. I suppose that is the nature of faith, isn't it?
Faith. That's something that I've had to pay much debate to. He kind of goes really quiet. He's kind of got his hands full, it seems, holding everything together in light of everything that's recently happened.
It's been something of a trying time for me myself. parents always raised me with dual belief. Lord Ramu and Lady Shiva. Never really identified with her much, if truth be told. Was always something more akin to my mother's heritage than anything.
Well, whichever the case and whatever the truth, go at least with this knowledge that each of the
No
gods,
ideas.
each of the
Hmm?
gods represent a piece of the whole. They all play their part in this world.
Am I back? Good.
Did you hear what Serge said?
No, I did not.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Well, whatever the case, remember at least that each of the gods represent one part of a whole. They each have their place in the heavens and within the crystals. They all have a hand upon the wheel that turns the world.
Well, I suppose we have to work on getting that hand back on the wheel. Now then, Narmis is gonna turn and look at TP and Myth. What on earth are you arguing about?
I suppose.
Just because you and Artemis you and Ra argue all the time, and Ra and I argue all the time, doesn't mean we're arguing, Koopa.
What are you doing then?
I'm
We're
discussing
talking about how to break in the chocobo.
I was just planning on walking in and flying out with it.
But can we leave that to you then?
Sure, why not? Unless, of course, you have some method of getting him out, in which case I could leave that to you and begin my plan early.
Not a particularly tasteful one, or successful one.
Yours would be way easier, assuming you're even allowed to see him, Koopa.
Oh, I don't think they'll have much of a choice in that matter. I don't tend to ask for permission.
Well, just know we probably can't break both of you out.
I assume you'll be sneaking in using a. Actually, no, wait, she doesn't know what spells Artemis has. Never mind. Out of character, I'm assuming I'm assuming you're going to sneak in using invisibility. You get and somehow get Quetzal out that way before casting Fly, and not using disguise self at all during the entire process.
She's
Or will you?
she's gonna do something.
I just wanted to see the lodestones. Now I want it.
Last
Right,
thing.
now.
Can Ra cast Sending again?
How many spell slots does he have?
He has no 3rd level spell slots, but he has a 4th level spell slot.
I thought you had 2 4th level spell slots.
I
We're
cast Death Ward on
Oh, right.
Quetzal.
All right. Using your last spell slot to cast Sending.
I want to send a message to the homeless guy in Highgate.
All right.
What?
And this is what I say. Now let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Shit.
Remember your contractions.
I know. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Crap.
Oh no.
Maybe you can home rule it that casting it at the 4th level will give you 26 forts.
No, it's okay. uh... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's good.
Da-da-da.
This is the Shadow Hunter that heard your words. I'm an Ardengale working for Ramuh's freedom. I wanted to say thank you.
And the homeless guy's just like, the Phaetons are invading my mind.
Does he say anything back?
Huh, I didn't know Shadowhunters knew sending! Liar. Propaganda by Big Innovation yet again.
The end times are coming.
So you don't really get a message back, but you do kind of get the notion that he heard your words and seems pretty content with that.
Great.
Shadowhunters planned Alex Shear. It was an inside job.
Oh god.
It's all a conspiracy.
Alright, recording end?
Recording end.
Recording end.